Hello and welcome into a fresh new episode of Mother Speaks here on UK Health Radio. We're here every week. I'm Clara Apollo, your host this week, alongside our brilliant breathwork mama, Kathy Bell. I'm excited, I'm going to tell you in a minute, but just before I get there, let me just remind you that Mother Speaks is an unapologetic deep dive and occasionally stumbling journey into the mother energy, from mothering children to businesses and the wisdom of Mother Earth herself. This is a show where mothers meet to speak about things that matter on topics across the board, from birthing babies, birthing books and birthing new projects, to parenting children, animals and oneself, plus all the conundrums of identifying as being a woman in this day and age. We are a community called together to co-author the book Wake Up Mother, which you can find out more about on our website, wakeupmother.com. But here on the live radio show, because it does feel rather live here on this episode, but we are a collective circle of 4 creatrixes at varying stages of parenthood and project development. And last week you heard from Sarah Lloyd with Zoe Foster, and their guest was Jennifer Flint, talking about the road less travelled. And on this episode, now we can get excited, because I'm at the White Rabbit in Glastonbury. And guess who's here? Kathy Bell.
Hello, and we are live together in the same room for the very first time. Very first time.
It's the very first time. And why is this? Why are we here together for the very first time in the White Rabbit in Glastonbury?
We are here today together because I have just held a breathwork session as part of a training that I'm facilitating, and you came along and participated. And we haven't spoke a jittery jot about what just happened. You've made me save it all for now, so I can't wait to dive in and share this experience with you. I'm really excited to see what Clara brings forward and shares with us. And
whatever comes through us both, really, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Because it was just such a joy to be invited over. Of course, I wanted to meet you. Why am I singing so much?
We're singing.
So singing because we're happy. Because sometimes it's just lovely to be in the flesh.
Yes.
Isn't it? And then to come and do breath work, or breath play, one might call it, is an opportunity to really connect profoundly, as well as having some fun.
Yeah.
So, and you're here doing the breathwork session because you're actually teaching, aren't you?
I am teaching, yes.
Teaching. You're teaching a student how to be a breathwork teacher.
Practitioner.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. So Kat, the amazing Kat, is here.
She is here.
She's in the room.
She's on the other side of the room. We're going to get her over in a minute.
And we met. She is a mother of 2 little babies. We met on retreat last year, so February 2022, and Kat's been on a breathwork journey with me, personal development and breathwork journey with me and our other teachers, David Elliott, and we're here now, learning how to hold space for groups as mothers and as mothers of spaces. So Kat, just come over and come and say hello, just add your voice to the beautiful sound waves that we're creating right now.
Hello.
Hello, I'm Kat.
Hello, I'm Kat.
There we go.
Do you purr?
Sometimes.
She has a beautiful voice. She has a very beautiful voice. So
thank you.
So how long have you been doing breathwork then, Kat?
So I did breathwork for the first time with Kathy Bell on retreat in Tintagel last February. And I had an amazing experience where I had postnatal depression and anxiety and needed help with that, and had no idea about breathwork, had never tried it before. So I did it. And I came away from it a very different person, and I wanted to know from Kathy how I could learn how to help heal other people, and that's why. So I started doing that, and now I'm doing my group training, so I can move from doing one-on-ones to doing groups as well.
Brilliant, brilliant. And you often find this, don't we? When we find something that really helps us, we're like, yeah, there's so much goodness here. I wonder if I could help others. But within that, I think there's also a question, is if you then, do you lose sight of that being your thing for yourself? Do you find that it then becomes your job? And sorry, I'm so speaking from experience, from my own kind of thing.
Well, I'll jump in there because I think Kat's, quite at the infancy of her journey with that. Still having a, job, real job. Okay. As a transitioning or potentially transitioning into more of this line of work. But I can definitely resonate with that, Clara, in that for a long time, breathwork was my thing. For not a long time, many years. I mean, a lot of people will meet a modality and instantly want to go and get trained in it. I actually spent a number of years with the practice, self-healing, being in spaces, being in groups with other mentors and teachers, and before the idea to become a breath worker myself, even, graced my awareness. So it can become, like, it is just your job, but I think I have that, personally speaking from experience, I have that relationship with the practice that I, deep dived with that for a few years before I decided to go into it. That's not to say that either path, jumping right in or waiting is neither's right or wrong. It's yeah.
Actually, I'm going to go bold and say, actually, I think it is.
Okay.
I think it is really important to get it for yourself and let that take as long as it needs to soak
Thank you for saying
into
that.
you,
Okay, yeah. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, as long as it takes for it to soak in.
Yes.
I needed a lot of, I had a lot of things to move through with the practice myself before I had the capacity then to hold space for others. So Clara's doing an exactly face. She's doing it.
Genau, as they would say in German. It's such a great word. Genau.
Genau.
Yes. So because when you're teaching or sharing the teachings, as I tend to refer to this kind of work now, is that unless we've had the experience, unless we've got it in us, what are we actually sharing? And it is the hours, and it's the love of it, and it's because it's part of who you are that just oozes through you. In fact, oh God, she's talking about Qigong again, that's my thing. Or, oh no, she's going to, because that's our thing, and we know it's helped us, and there's so much to assist people with, isn't there? This being in community, and it really felt this here today, the community and the circle of everybody here going through their experience of breath work, and you don't know what's going to come up, do you? How do you manage that? The whole not knowing.
How do you manage that? Deep trust. Okay. Deep trust in the practice. You mentioned it before we came on air, a sense of grounding or groundedness, as I like to say, which is a bit of a, crazy word for the radio, but groundedness. In yourself, but a deep, deep trust for the work, which I have. Kat and I have been talking again off air about how we trust the practice. We trust the modality it's not about us. When you're sharing, it's not about me. It wasn't about me today. The 10 beautiful souls that were in the room and breathed with us. It was the work, the breath, the spirit of the breathwork practice and the lineage that I share and Kat and I share, meeting those people where they were at. It wasn't about me doing anything. It wasn't about me. I was doing things, obviously. I was holding space, but it wasn't about me manipulating anything or controlling it or making it a certain way. It doesn't have to look a certain way, and it looked very different, let me tell you, from with eyes open. It was very different for every single person. But managing it comes into trust, trusting yourself, trusting the practice, trusting spirit, and real groundedness.
Yeah, safe practice. And I did feel very safe being held by you, and that Kat was in the corner making notes. She's got all sorts. And you're going to hold a session tomorrow, aren't you, Kat? So how are you looking forward to that? Yeah.
Oh no, I'm very excited. I am really excited about it. I love holding space for people. I genuinely really, really enjoy that. And yeah, nervous because it will be my first big group of people to hold space for, but Kathy is incredible at support and help with that. So very excited.
So her words of trusting the process really resonating for you here. And that for any of you listening as well, when you're doing something new and you're kind of right out of your comfort zone, you know what, that's the best place to be for personal growth. It's like actually being comfortable, it's not the best. It's quite good to be comfortable in bed, don't get me wrong, that's quite important. But if you're a bit on that edge, you know that you're in a place of growth and potential and you don't know all the answers, and that's part of it, isn't it? It's like that's the and also permission to mess up, you know.
And when you have a group like that, you're going to have people, you know, this is going into, I don't know where this is going, but when you have a group of people, there's going to be different percentages, let's say, of willingness to go to the edge, and also different arenas of an edge. You know, an edge to you is very different to an edge to me, and so in a group situation, this is why it's so variable, because everyone's edge is very different, and everyone's willingness to be at that edge is different. And there were some people that were willing to go all the way, and some people that were willing to stay, needed to stay a little bit closer to what felt safe and doable and comfortable. And you know, as a space holder, that's what you're there for. You're there to meet them exactly where they're at, without judgment for yourself, and without judgment for their experience, and again, trusting.
And it's not about pushing people to any edges. It's about holding a safe space that if their edge comes up, you're there to hold that space, isn't it?
Thank you for that. Yes, that's exactly right.
So look, what was brilliant about this as well is you were playing some really good tunes, and I was wondering if you'd like to drop one into the show around about now, and if so, which one that might be.
Yes, I would love to. Holding breathwork sessions, one of the most beautiful aspects of it is choosing the music and then playing the music and then having a little boogie while everyone's breathing, and you can just, that's what you were doing. That's what I was doing. Not the whole time, Clara, not the whole time.
Keeping the energy moving.
Exactly. So I'm going to play and choose this track that is a little bit under the radar that I don't think many people will have heard, and it's one of my favourite songs for starting a breath, because it makes you feel safe. It makes you have that sense of being held, and it's called Hold Me Like a Fire by Ruben and the Dark.
UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good. UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good.
And welcome back into Mother Speaks here on UK Health Radio with me, Clara Apollo, and my co-host, Kathy Bell. And before those station messages... Oh, yeah, I was singing the first bit as well, weren't I? Woohoo! That track that you chose called Hold Me Like a Fire by Ruben and the Dark, that was just so beautiful. Like you say, coming into that place of being held. And how many of us need that holding space?
Yes. Yeah, don't we? I think we all need to be held, you know? Before we were born, we were held. And then we were held as babies, you know? And that need to be held never goes away. And holding space is one of those, I think, abstract concepts. But when you do that, Clara's doing holding like a baby, like rocking the baby arms. When you do that, immediately everyone knows what you mean. And it's, you know, holding space is one of those, like I say, nuanced, abstract concepts, but that we all need, we all benefit from. And it takes a lot from someone to do. You know, it takes, but I think our mothers do it naturally, yeah.
That's it. So this is just a pure conversation. We're completely in the moment here. We're at the White Rabbit in Glastonbury. This is Kathy and I together. We're not doing it on Zoom or anything. That's why it's a little bit echoey in this massive room here. So this is the conversation that we're having after the breathwork session. And so to say sort of like, oh, it's quite a thing to hold a space. Is it? Is it just how you hold your own space is then enables you to have that spaciousness within conversations that you're in?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think I went off on one there, but because in my chapter in the book, I never set out to be a space holder.
That's right.
Yeah, I say that we're all space holders. You know, I never set out to be a space holder. Yet as soon as someone needed me, as soon as my husband needed me, as soon as my daughter needed me, I immediately became a space holder. And through the practice of breathwork, I learned how to hold space for myself.
Yes.
And that was up until that point. You know, being married, having children, you know, going on a self-healing journey. Never held space. You know, I'd never held space. It was very, this is a personal thing. I'm not saying this is not general, but personally, I had been quite self-absorbed actually as a young maiden. You know, quite self-absorbed in my goings on and not too concerned with other people. And I think that's different. Like I say, it's not a generalization. That's a personal experience. Whereas there might be people there who've always been caring, always had siblings or, you know, people in the home to take care of. So it's always been part of your life. But for me, it was, I never set out to do this. I never set out to be this, but this path has found me, and it's really cool. And I'd love, I can see you want to get in, but I want to ask you. Yeah, we're dancing now. I want to ask you about your experience because you haven't shared that yet. So I would love to get into that. You have a little notebook, and I'm going to invite you to pick that notebook up, which you'll probably hear on the
Shuffling about here.
Yeah.
Talk about going down the rabbit hole with Kathy and Clara and Kat in Glastonbury.
In the White Rabbit.
Yes.
Is this going to be airworthy? That's what I'm going to... Yeah, go for it. Please go for it.
So for me, coming here today was just an absolutely glorious time off because I have quite a few projects going, quite a few amazing things happening, including my new app called Apollo Chi. Yay! Which is taking quite a lot of nurturing. And I find that I do free mind hypnotherapy. That is the thing that goes with my Qigong that really helps my brain stop ticking over all its amazing things and tricky things, you know. It's like, I need some space. Talk about holding space. Give me space. And so how do I get that? I come here and I get held in a space where I can just be. And then I had to do this crazy, funky breath thing. And I'm not used to this, right? This is only the second time I've ever done any breath work because I find it a bit... challenging.
Yes,
yeah. Because you have to do the breath in to the belly and into the chest and then out again. You have to keep it going. And I'm used to following the breath.
Yeah.
Being with the chi of the breath.
Yes.
Letting the breath decide what pace. And here I am going or something like that. And going like, and do I have to keep doing it? Yeah, to keep doing it. And everyone else is doing it. And this whole like vibe going on, this rhythm going on. And I'm like, okay, I'll just do what I can.
Yeah, and that's all that was asked.
And then what you do, you get your own rhythm. That's what helped. Because to start, it was nice to be in a group and we're all doing it together. But then it's like there does come a point where there's a shift and there's this whole like shimmy goes through you. And then it's like, I do it my own way. I got the hang of this now. You wait for someone else to come up. But yeah, so that was really interesting that to mouth breathe was actually easier than I thought it was going to be because I'm not used to mouth breathing. Yeah. And I actually didn't open my mouth too much. And that really seemed... So I didn't have to keep opening. My mouth was relaxed and slightly open. Yeah. And I think that really helped.
Perfect. Yeah. And you finding your own rhythm, I think that's one of the things that, you know, in my spaces, it's not forced. It's not... You know, you're not expected to do. It doesn't have to look. What I'm trying to say is, it doesn't have to look the way I want it to look. It's about you and your rhythm, and I think that's what we as facilitators, Kat. I think that's, you know, if I can be proud of anything, it's being able to pass on that lineage of invitational spaces.
Yes,
and
that was lovely when you said
and
that.
Opening, you know, holding space for people to be themselves and find their own rhythm.
Yes. And isn't that true in life? Find your own rhythm, not anyone else's. You can be inspired by other people, of course, but what's your rhythm? What is your dance within you? So I found that through some of them, I don't know how long, but time just goes somewhere else when you do this practice, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But there were some people seriously catharting. And I was like, oh, I am in a space where people are letting go of their trauma. How do I feel about that? It's like, but I'm safe. I'm held. I'm grounded to do my practice as well. I've got my crystals in my hand and I'm doing my breath. And we're all in this together. There's this unified field of community. And yes, I know it's important to be able to do this work as individuals as well, of course. But actually, when we bring it back into community, isn't that more real? Isn't that like how it is meant to be even?
Yeah, I think the separation that everyone else is doing loads of crazy stuff and I don't know how I feel about that. That, you know, there is a tendency to buy into the belief that, yeah, we have to somehow take that on. I like to really encourage people to be energetically sovereign. And I trust you know that you know I trust you to be able to do that, and seeing everyone as energetically sovereign and not thinking, oh goodness, they're all going to be mingled up and mashed up with energy, and that's not how I vibe. So but we are all in this together, and yeah, sometimes we have to hear other people's screams to be able to find our own, or hear other people's tears to find our own, or hear people's reclamation to be able to find our own. So when we do it together, it can be, when we do it together, it can be uncomfortable, but there is beauty in that discomfort also.
Come on then, Kat.
Well, I also think that in tune with that is especially at the end when people get the chance to share, and I've just invited to share if they wish to. You'll often find, in my experience of doing them and obviously observing today, that everyone goes deathly quiet and doesn't necessarily want to share straight away or be the first one to, but you quite often get somebody who says, well, I'll talk, I'll say. And I think that helps, because then you'll find that somebody else will go, oh, well, actually, because one person's found their voice, it encourages the next person to find their voice. And then before you know it, everybody pretty much in the whole group has then shared their experience, or at least something they want to share, which again just gives that idea of everybody as a collective.
That's right. Beautiful. And it enables the flow, because of course the breath is about flow, wave of the breath, energy in motion, emotion that is coming through us. You know, we are dynamic beings. We only ever experience stillness in momentary, I was going to say hallucinations, that's not quite the right word, but, you know, that stillness point between, we're talking about things between the liminal space and all of that, but that place between the out-breath and the in-breath, for me, is an absolute balm space.
Yeah,
that's when you go, that's the only place I think you can experience stillness, but you're still aware that your heart's beating and everything. So that idea of like letting the motion of what wants to come through and being held, and as you said, being inspired by others when someone is that vulnerable and able to share, you're right, it gives you permission to share your pieces. Oh, is it okay? I can do that.
That's one of the most beautiful, pieces. If we bring in Wake Up Mother, it's taking and claiming your space at the table. That's what we invite you to do as a reader, is to come and sit at the table with us. Sarah writes those words, in the book. Come and sit at the table with us, and that's why I love holding in-person spaces, because then people do, like you say, Kat, they come and they're invited by other people's vulnerability to take their seat at the table and speak and share. And that the specialness of community, I think, is what you're speaking into here, and I am wholeheartedly agreeing with that and wishing that for everyone.
Yeah, exactly. And how amazing it was to have such a range of different responses. We're on the same place at the same time, the same music playing, the same setup, and then all these individual connections with whatever they were ready to do at the time, and then us all being in that space together and having our responses. So getting back to my experience was like, okay, someone's going through an experience here. Where does that put me? What am I going to do? The first thing I did was ground. The first thing was, I'm really connected, I'm safe. And it's like, this person is making these sounds, or I don't know if it's a couple of people, I don't know. But actually to this big wave of like forgiveness, this heart-opening thing happened. Was like, oh, bless them, like, wow, this is such powerful work. I'll just carry on with my breath. I'll just carry on with my breath.
When you said that, immediately the phrase "sacred witness" came to mind. I'm the sacred witness, but you are also witnessing them in that sacred way too. And it's, it's very brave. It's very brave for a lot of people to be witnessed in that vulnerability. Not physically, but you hear them and you see, you feel them, and it's very powerful. Yes, I don't always like saying it's an honor, but it is an honor.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think it is, because they are trusting you with the space that you're holding, and you are trusting the process of what's going on at you. So I actually found that I was just so grateful to rest, and I started to use some of my hypnotherapeutic techniques as well. I thought, let's play with this. How deep can I go? And then I went into the belly of the earth and met the Great Mother, and she just said to me, just come over here, come and sit. I mean, there's a bit more to it than that, but this is the whole overall thing. There was a lot of golden copper light, and she was by a fire, and it was like in the belly of the earth. And just come here and let me hold you. You can tell me anything, and keep telling me whatever you want. And it's that witnessing power of the mother energy that was so strong, so beautiful, and so reassuring that can be met. That can be met in all of us when we let ourselves get rid of all those layers of shoulds, coulds, or whatevers.
And even as a facilitator, my shoulds and like should I be encouraging Clara to breathe more, or should I be inviting people to do it differently than what it looks like to me? No, because that's their experience and that's not me. And had I interjected, I would have disrupted that. You
did one thing. You put your fingers on my sternum. That was enough. You don't need to tell me anything. It's like you've just got that little connection, and it's like whatever else you could just let it keep flowing, keep going back to the breath, keep coming back in.
Beautiful. I love that.
Anyway, we're rabbiting on here.
We're going to...
The White Rabbit. Rabbiting on in the White Rabbit. And we need to go to another track. So have you got another one primed for us?
We have Heal This Land by Tina Malia, I believe you pronounce her surname. And it's one of the ones we shared in the breathwork. And it really is about community and coming together to heal this land, whether that's the lands within you or the land. So the motherland, let's say.
UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good. UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good.
And welcome back into section 3 of Mother Speaks here on UK Health Radio with myself, Clara Apollo, my gorgeous co-host Kathy Bell. We are here in person in the White Rabbit in Glastonbury. If we hadn't mentioned it before, we're mentioning it again because it's quite exciting. And Kat is here with us as well.
Kat is here.
Yeah, she's learning how to be a breathwork practitioner of groups, because you've been doing it one-to-one for a while, haven't you? So it's taking the next step up. So before the break, we heard Heal This Land by Tina Malia, a lovely choice of yours. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. It was a beautiful song. Hope you enjoyed the track. It was a very special moment in the group, actually, where I invited everyone to kind of reach out and hold one another and come together as a community of breathers. So I completely missed that because I think I actually went to sleep. Yes, she did.
I think I might have been snoring.
I can confirm that Clara Apollo snored in my breathwork session. Yes, that is true.
And it really goes to show my whole message was that the answer to everything that I'm asking at the moment is just get more rest. So
but I mean, one of the interesting things is when people come to breathwork and it's like, oh yeah, it was all right, and I got this message of rest. That's profound.
So it's huge.
Profound, like
amount of things that I've written here about rest and the space between, and it's stuff that I know, and I do live it from time to time.
What a reminder, though, today.
But it's
right?
the reminder to keep coming back to that place, keep returning to that space, to that place of rest. Your body knows how to heal. You just need to get out of the way of all this busy, exciting stuff. And it's not about one thing or another. It's how to weave it all, isn't it?
Yeah.
Be able to be dynamic and up for it and run around and do stuff. And also be able to come in and be chilled. And in between, be steady and methodical. And I know as an energy alchemist, it's such a curious area for me because it's always in the now moment. So even though we think, or we have experienced, things that have happened yesterday or the day before, that's all been going pretty nice. When you come into the now moment, how is my energy right now? It really keeps you so present and vital.
I mean, you're so true there, and I resonate with that, but I just suddenly got an urge of inspiration, so I'm going to follow that. If we were all to follow your guidance that you received today of mothers taking more rest, where would we be? And why is it so difficult for us to rest?
It's time. We don't think we have enough time. And so how can we breathe more space into the possibility of giving ourselves more time?
Kat, would you agree that mothers don't have time? Like, do you think it's time? Like, Clara went straight in there with quite a generalised comment, and I would say yes to time, but I would also say there's many other factors. Like, why haven't you as a mother rested?
I think physical time is always a bit of a part of that, but I think also your perception of time and the perception of how much energy that you have, it comes into it more because you can find that time, but have you got the emotional energy for it at that time? And I think that's been my biggest resistance, that at the end of the day, when I've got the time, I go, I'm too tired for this. And it's that belief that you are too tired, I can't do it. It's the resistance that you are limited on your capacity. And, and it is a story that you tell yourself.
It is. And if we, sorry to interrupt there, but if we don't have enough time for our rest, what are we doing with all that other time? Let me ask you, I'm asking you both, and I'm looking them dead in the eye, saying I'm not falling for your stories. If you don't have time to rest, what are you using your time to do?
Well, this is coming back to time management. Oh!
Is it though? Is it?
Yeah, because I really wish I was better at it, I beat myself up a little bit. I go, oh, you were just bimbling there. What were you doing?
What are you prioritising? What has more gravitas to you in this time thing scenario? Like, why is rest at the bottom of the pile?
I know.
Why is everything else? Why is the bumbling more important? Why is the busyness more important? Why is the...
Bimbling.
Bimbling.
Yes.
Oh, I said bumbling. I'm very sorry.
I meant bimbling. Pottering and mooching, they're three of my favourite things. That's what I do on my days off. And that's just, following your flow, doing a bit of gardening, doing a bit of rearranging the house, or reading that book that you just can't wait to get back to. But yeah, why is rest deprioritised? Because I feel it's about, in our culture, it looks like you're giving up.
Yes.
Or you're being lazy. And I think that tag, that label of being lazy, we have been conditioned to think is such a negative label to have, which it is, but it doesn't have to be laziness. That's not what it should be labelled as. It's taking that time to create that space and that capacity for yourself so that you can deal with yourself and your children and your job and your career and everything else that we're expected to do nowadays, really.
Absolutely. And so for us to keep repeating this need to rest helps us to recognise that you need it and you need it and I need it and so do my other sisters and brothers. We all need it. So we encourage each other to go, resting is best. You think of siestas over in Spain and things. It's normal. They rest in the middle of the day. I know it's super hot and everything. What would that be like? But it's seen in their culture that they respect that. They rest.
Yeah, it's productive. I mean, I think that's another thing. There will be many people nodding their heads, especially to Kat's point around, what you just made. I'm not going to repeat it. So oh my God.
Kathy's not eaten anything since lunchtime, and we're on the last 10 minutes of the show. She's doing really, really well.
My brain just went. Meh. So the other point is not seeing it as productive. Yes, that's it. Lazy, being seen as lazy. Yeah. There, it came back to me. Glycogen stores in my body right now are low, so we don't see it as productive. We don't see rest as important because what happens in rest? Nothing. You're just lazy. You're lying around. You're not doing anything.
That's it. You're not doing anything. You're not seen to be doing anything. You're in bed. But guess what? Everybody needs to sleep. Even your pussycats and your doggies need to sleep. In fact, they love doing it. In fact, if I could sleep as much as my cat does, I mean, crikey, it'd be amazing.
It'd be amazing, wouldn't it?
Don't know,
do you not find that when then you do take the rest, when you do have that time, that you are then more productive?
Exactly. Definitely.
Like, huh?
Exactly. So this needs to be completely revamped and this is what we're doing now. There's a lot of us, I know you listening there, you're probably going, yes, I know, I need more rest too. But some folk, they struggle to sleep. And I think practices like breathwork really help you to release what the body needs to get rid of. I'm also shaking. I do quite a lot within that. Shaking. Taking care of the physicality so that when you come to your bedtime, rest time, you're ready for it. So I think it's this preparation for rest that is key.
And perhaps the practice of it. Because if you practice resting a little bit more, then when you're due to rest at night and actually sleep, you might find that comes more naturally because your body's going, oh, I recognize this. I see what you're trying to do. Yeah. Whereas if you're constantly keeping busy, your mind is going, well, I've got to be busy, I've got to be busy. And then it's not going to switch off when you need it to.
So do you think an idea to consider would be to have a ritual around resting?
Yeah, I'm always going to advocate for breath work, but sometimes that's not available to everybody. I really love put a bit of binaural beats on.
Yes.
And because we spend our waking time, if we're going to go into the brain waves, which I am right now, guys, watch me go in, our waking time is beta brain waves. It's busy. And we're so in that space. Our creative flow is when the brain waves drop into alpha. So we're conscious, we're rested, we're relaxed, but we're creative. We're open to new ideas, possibilities. So rest, relaxation, meditation, breath work takes us into that next notch down. But of course, alpha is the stage before, not of course, but I've learned that alpha is the stage before theta. Yeah. Theta is when we're in that dream, we're not awake, we're not asleep. And then delta, which is the deepest brainwaves where we're asleep. That's when we're, zonked out, the deep rest happens, the deep the restorative stuff happens in our physical bodies. So thinking of those, I always like to think of those layers, like, where am I? Oh, I'm in beta. And I can't really solve anything from this space because I'm just in my mind. I'm busy.
Busy beta.
Yeah.
Busy bee beta.
Well, as I come into alpha.
Chilled out alpha. But you know what? Can you do it as a click of the finger? Or do you need to do something as a bridging technique?
Definitely.
I do as well. I tend to, if I can get out of my front door, and I can get out and I look at the sky, that to me is right, stepped away from the computer, stepped away, right now.
And when you get more practice with that, you feel the shift, don't you? You feel the shift. And, often there's a lot to be said about a daily meditation practice. And I don't like to do mine in the morning or in the evening. I like to do it in the middle of the day because I have a natural rise, and then and I restore in the middle of the day, and then I have another rise, before I come down for the evening.
So you found your rhythm.
I found my rhythm. Yes, I found my rhythm. Oh, what a good circle back. And look at the time, ladies.
Oh, rhythm is a dancer. There's a tune.
Should we play that?
We can play that on the end if we got enough time. Yeah, so bridging techniques. So music's another one, putting on particular tunes, like if you've got binaural beats that have got music with them as well. Yep. And letting the body express itself. So sort of letting it unwind the tensions in the shoulders or whatever. Give it time, give it space. And then when you come back to using the body again, it's like, okay, you can use me again, rather than overusing it. And pushing it and expecting and all this whole thing about productivity. I mean, there's some stats about the amount of productivity hours that have gone down because people have been so sick, particularly since 2020. We all know why. And this, how could people become more productive? How could they self-care better? Well, it's got to start with rest and diet and nutrition. And
water. Good
quality water, exactly.
And the
kind of people you hang out with.
And community, friendships and connections. A couple of more bridging techniques. Love a dance party. Yeah. Putting, Alexa, play my favourite playlist and having a boogie, but getting out in nature, those binaural beats, a little bit of meditation if that is movement meditation, like qigong, moving the body, moving the breath, that is moving the energy and moving with your body, stepping away from the laptop, sometimes I like a bit of cleaning. I know.
There's something really grounding about that. Basic work. When I was working on films back in the last millennium, which just sounds like thousands of years ago, I almost couldn't wait to come home and do the washing up because it was something regular. Yeah. It was like a meditation in itself. It was just normal. It was,
So speaking to mothers maybe who are in the home and are thinking, Kathy, cleaning is not relaxing for me. But like you say, when you've got that busy job or you're out of the house, when you're in an office maybe, coming home and having that grounding experience with just the washing or the dishes. I love having my hands in the washing up bowl.
I was going to say, so are we going to leave the washing up and the cleaning for when we're really feeling like doing it, so it can pile up quite happily, festeringly? And no, I'm going to wait until I come home from a really busy day and then I'll crack on.
I don't know what we're saying. Anyway, there's plenty of bridging techniques that people can move between.
We'd like to know yours.
Absolutely.
And you can come over, can't you, to the wakeupmother.substack.com.
Yep, or the Facebook, or the Instagram page, which is the Wake Up Mother Community over on Instagram. You can find us there and let us know how you found this podcast and all of our podcasts. There is now 8 episodes. This will be episode 8, and you may be listening to this in the distant future. There may be 200 for you to listen to, and you landed on number 8. Lucky you is all I've got to say.
And lucky 8, I love the flow of 8. That figure of 8 brings in harmony, with also harmony between other sides of our brain, harmony between the heaven and the earth through our hearts. Yes. Oh, it's beautiful. And often we do little practices here. We haven't had a chance to get into that here. We've just been talking about breathwork and stuff, but if you want to find out more about Kathy Bell and her awesomeness, where do people go?
And Kat Heel. The wonderful Kat Heel. You can also find out about her. So you can find me on Instagram, Kathy with a K.Bell_, and Kat Heel.
You can find me on Facebook with Kat Heel Jones, or Breathe Glastonbury with Kat Heel.
Breathe Glastonbury. Ooh, isn't that great? What a legacy. Mm-hmm. Yay. And what about Clara?
Well, you can find me on the gram of Insta as Clara Joe Apollo, and my app, the Apollo Chi app. Did I mention that before?
You did. Exciting.
So I've got the Qigong on there and the inner alchemy hypnotherapy meditations as well. So.
And you can find Wake Up Mother, which Clara's going to tell you all about.
So, let's do the official ending of the show, because it's very exciting being here with you in person. We're getting a little bit distracted, as you can probably tell, but what a joy to do this live. It's been amazing. Really great, and lovely to meet you as well, Kat. Thank you. And if you've enjoyed listening to this episode of Mother Speaks, please tell your friends. And if you'd like to listen again, you can do so on demand here on ukhealthradio.com and on their podcast stream on all the major platforms. We also have a Spotify playlist, don't we, Kathy? Called, handily, handily called Mother Speaks, containing tracks from the show so far and ones that we want to share with you. So Mother Speaks is part of our Wake Up Mother community, and you can find out more about that on wakeupmother.com with our interactive portal at wakeupmother.substack.com, and where you can catch up with the latest Wake Up Mother news, including listening to us on Mother Speaks Unplugged, because sometimes we chat afterwards, and that's when Kathy is allowed to swear. And other juicy things come up to share. But I don't think we're going to be doing this right now because we all need to go and have our supper. But we've also got the Instagram community that you mentioned, the Wake Up Mother _ community. And we'd love to hear from you to keep this conversation growing, and other conversations about what the mothering energy means to you. You know, even just asking yourself that now is a really great question. And so up next on UK Health Radio's rolling stream of healthy shows, it's the Menopause Sisters. So thank you so much, Kathy and Kat, for being part of it.
Thank you, Clara.
Thank you very much for having me.
You're so welcome. I'm going to see you again. Breathe Glastonbury, that's the one. And remember that you have a vast, untapped, fertile field of mother energy within you, regardless of what or how you choose to mother. It's just waiting to be honoured by you, for you, and for the rich families and projects and all the other juicy stuff that you want to bring through. So thank you so much for listening to Mother Speaks here on UK Health Radio.